A sinister old woman peers through the darkness, her face etched with malice. She brandishes two wicked hooks, revealing her cruel intentions. A flashback shows a horrifying ritual of torment and forced consumption. The scene is a grim chamber filled with chains and lifeless dolls. Our hero, chained and battered, is consumed by a single thought: escape. He's not just a prisoner, he's a soul trapped in a stranger's body. Forced to eat a mysterious wooden object, he endured unspeakable trials. With his captors gone, he sees a sliver of hope for freedom. But heavy chains are a grim reminder of his powerlessness. He summons every ounce of his courage for what comes next. With a desperate grasp, he prepares to remove the shackle from his own flesh. A silent scream rips through the air as he endures the agony. Suddenly, a strange power surges through his body. He stares in shock, realizing something has fundamentally changed. A new, cloaked figure emerges from the shadows, interrupting his escape. He cautiously questions the stranger, asking for the old woman's whereabouts. Trying to play it cool, he tells the figure she's not here. The mysterious visitor decides it's time to take matters into its own hands. It lunges forward with a terrifying roar, demanding to find her. The entity grabs him, revealing a deep-seated grudge against his grandmother. Its rage boils over, recounting how she turned it into a coffin for some elder. The spirit, a vengeful wooden plank, declares it will claim him as payment. Just as it's about to strike, a familiar voice cuts through the tension. The grandmother appears, revealing she spared the spirit to guard a corpse for 20 years. She stands in the doorway with the little girl, furious her grandson was harmed. Her eyes burn with rage as she vows to incinerate the ungrateful spirit. The plank creature shrieks as the old woman unleashes her power. She lands a devastating blow, sending the spirit reeling. Even the little girl joins the fray, her eyes glowing with demonic energy. He can only watch, bewildered by this supernatural family feud. The story flashes back to his grandmother looming over him, impressed by his resilience. She leans in close, ominously promising he's on the verge of recovery. Utterly bewildered, he demands to know why he's being held captive. Her chilling response: "This isn't captivity, it's a cure for his sickness." He scoffs at her twisted logic, calling her treatment nothing but torment. She insists his illness is grave as he screams for a straight answer. The little girl interrupts, revealing the shocking truth. He's lost all his memories. She explains how Grandma saved his soul from an enemy clan, binding it to his body with strange rituals. But the price of saving him was his own identity. He no longer recognizes his family. He's stunned, forced to wonder if this horrifying ordeal is truly for his own good. The grandmother lets out a heavy, weary sigh. She reassures the girl that his memory will return once his soul is fully healed. With grim determination, she vows the last of the Ho family will not fall to their rivals. Back in the present, he tries a new tactic, pleading to be untied so he can rest. His request is met with a sudden, terrifying glare from the old woman. Her mood shifts unnervingly as she softly agrees to his request. But it's the little girl who gleefully volunteers, grabbing his chains with a sinister smile. Her cheerful expression is the last thing he sees before she takes action. With a sickening sound, the hooks are brutally resecured into his flesh. He's left curled in agony, his brief hope for freedom cruelly snatched away. The little girl just giggles, completely unfazed by the suffering she's caused. She then leans over him, performing another strange and painful procedure on his back. He can only grit his teeth, wondering what twisted purpose this new torment serves. Meanwhile, the grandmother muses aloud about a suspicious death from the past. She predicts that with the coffin plank's return, an old corpse is about to become a new problem. Before leaving, she warns him to stay inside, as his weakened state is a magnet for evil spirits. She promises to return with his treatment and shuts the heavy door behind her. Left alone with creepy masks, he finally grasps the supernatural danger he's in. Survival is his only goal, and he knows escaping is his only real chance. But as he plots his next move, he realizes there's another major obstacle in his way. His new babysitter is the creepy little girl who promises to watch him very, very carefully. Suddenly, his fractured mind flashes with a chaotic, cartoonish memory of a massive brawl. The bizarre vision ends with a comically oversized punch and a mumbled apology. Back in reality, he's trapped in the grim room with his tiny, unnerving warden. He examines his hand, noticing something miraculous about his wounds. The bleeding has completely stopped, seemingly healed by the girl's strange intervention. Staring at her masked face, he wonders what kind of creature she really is. He decides to interrogate her, demanding her name and connection to the old woman. She cheerfully introduces herself as Hong Tang, a stray the grandmother took in. Still suspicious, he presses further, asking the seemingly young girl for her age. She casually mentions she's been with Grandma for 7 or 8 years despite her appearance. His eyes widen in shock. This girl is far older than she looks. He realizes she might be an evil spirit, making his need to escape even more urgent. His eyes land on a bowl of food on the table, and a cunning plan begins to form. It's the same mysterious meat he's been forced to eat for days. He tries to tempt his little guard, asking if she desperately wants a bite. She recoils in fear, shouting that she absolutely does not want it. A sly grin spreads across his face. He's just found her weakness. He dangles the bait, whispering how delicious the forbidden meal is. Her resolve crumbles as she stares at the glistening meat with hungry eyes. In her struggles, she blurts out a horrifying secret. The meat is from someone named Master Cui. He seizes the moment, pushing the bowl of forbidden food closer to her. He plays the generous friend, insisting she can have his portion since Grandma won't know. She looks up with wide, innocent eyes, asking if he'll keep their secret. He seals the deal with a charming smile, promising to take all the blame. With his permission, she eagerly turns to devour the mysterious meal. The moment her back is turned, he knows this is his one shot at freedom. But as she eats, her face contorts into a monstrous visage with glowing red eyes. Terrified by her demonic transformation, he scrambles towards the door. He throws all his weight against the exit, desperate to escape the demoness's lair. His mind screams in terror. This little girl is a full-blown demoness. He bursts out of the house, sprinting for his life through a blood-red world. Shadowy figures watch his escape, whispering about how Grandma's grandson is somehow still alive. Ignoring the ghostly chatter, he runs with every ounce of strength he has left. Finally, his body gives out and he collapses in the woods, gasping for air. Just as he catches his breath, a strange voice calls out from the darkness. A towering demonic goat man steps out from behind a tree, its eyes glowing with malice. Before he can even process the first monster, a shadowy beast lunges at him from above. A third creature, a three-eyed ape, lets out a terrifying roar right in his face. He stumbles backward in fear, bumping into something massive and scaly. Turning around, he's greeted by the horrifying sight of a giant snake creature. The snake man leans in close, eerily calling him Brother Homa. Surrounded by monsters, he can only wonder what fresh nightmare this is. His vision blurs as Hong Tang's voice echoes in his mind, telling him to wake up. He opens his eyes to find he's back in the dreaded room, lying on the hard bed. His grandmother calmly explains his wounds were severe from breaking the rule about going out at night. The horrifying images of the monsters he met flash through his mind. She confirms his fears, revealing those creatures were the evil spirits she warned him about. These terrifying entities, she explains, emerge from the shadows as soon as the sun sets. A new wave of terror washes over him, realizing the true danger of the outside world. He glances nervously at the ceiling, now seeing monsters in every shadow. The old woman places a hand on his shoulder, telling him there's no need to be so afraid. She says his weak body is a magnet for spirits, but eating more meat will make him stronger. He eyes the bowl of mysterious meat, now understanding its supposed purpose. With a chillingly calm expression, she asks if he finally believes his grandma. Deciding to play along, he forces a smile and takes a bite, declaring his trust. He quickly shovels the food into his mouth, bracing for whatever comes next. A powerful red energy suddenly surges through his veins, shocking his entire system. He's stunned to realize the more he eats, the more energetic and powerful he feels. The grandmother watches with a pleased expression, telling him to rest after he finishes his meal. She leaves him with a chilling warning. The monsters are still out there, so don't even peek outside. Lying in bed, the fresh wounds on his chest are a stark reminder of his failed escape. He grapples with his new reality, wondering if he's truly been reborn in this boy's body. The horrifying truth dawns on him. She summoned the wrong soul and thinks he's just her amnesiac grandson. He suddenly finds himself stepping into a strange, dark, watery void. Pulled by an unseen force, he walks through the surreal landscape towards a lone table. Utterly disoriented, he questions how he got to this bizarre place from his bed. His feet are suddenly encased in ice, freezing him to the spot in a surge of panic. He jolts awake with a scream, realizing it was all a terrifying nightmare. But the horror isn't over. The creepy little girl is sitting on his bed, holding his feet. She cheerfully calls him a coward and announces Grandma is taking them to the old fire pit. His eyes widen in terror, his mind racing to imagine what horrors await him there. The next morning, they journey through a misty, sun-drenched mountain village. Their destination is a massive, ancient stone tower that looms over the landscape. An old man, the clan chief, greets them, revealing the grandmother is part of the Hu clan. The chief notes his apparent recovery, but his smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. He then questions the grandmother's decision to take a recovering boy to the fire pit. Another villager pleads for him to rest, but the old woman's expression is unyielding. She coldly states that his recovery is precisely why he must enter the pit, shocking the onlookers. Hong Tang yanks him forward, dragging him towards the ominous tower against his will. As the villagers bow, Grandma declares that only the ancestors can protect him now. The clan chief can only watch helplessly, admitting to his subordinate that they are powerless to intervene. Hong Tang scolds the villagers, reminding them of their debt to the woman who heals them. Standing before the glowing entrance, the grandmother prepares to test the will of their ancestors. Inside, they stand in a vast, dark chamber overlooking a massive ash-filled pit. Staring at the bones scattered in the ash, he asks if this is a place for human sacrifice. She ignores him, commanding him to kneel before the ancestors for their judgment. With no other choice, he kneels at the edge of the pit, awaiting his fate. The grandmother clasps her hands together, beginning a solemn ritual prayer. She beseeches the spirits of the ancestors to protect her grandson from the enemies hunting their clan. He realizes with a jolt that her love for her real grandson is terrifyingly genuine. Suddenly, an unseen force slams into him, rattling his very soul. A bone-piercing cold grips him as he wonders what fresh hell this is. Ghostly green figures rise from the ash, whispering in an ancient, chilling tongue. The chamber fills with ancestral spirits, all of them staring directly at him. His eyes widen in sheer terror as he senses a far greater presence awakening. The spirits converge, merging into a single colossal monster made of countless eyes. This abomination of an ancestor looms over him, judging his very existence. He's frozen in place, completely overwhelmed by the creature's immense power. The world around him suddenly shatters like a pane of glass. He's thrown back to reality, the terrifying vision completely gone. The chamber is empty again, leaving him to question what just happened. The grandmother pants heavily, the ritual having taken a serious toll on her. She hangs her head in defeat. The ancestors have rejected him. Just then, the clan chief and other villagers enter the chamber with grim news. The chief explains the ancestors don't know him because his family line were outsiders. He's stunned to learn that because he's not one of them, he's been denied protection. The grandmother's face twists in fury, vowing to make the ancestors accept him. She slams her staff down, refusing to let the last of her clan be a prisoner in his own home. He desperately asks why he needs the protection of this specific place so badly. Hong Tang pipes up, asking if he truly remembers nothing about his past. She explains the pit's ash is a powerful charm that repels the evil spirits hunting him. He looks up, realizing that in this world nothing is more reliable than the ancestors' power. He accepts his fate. To survive, he must continue playing the part of her grandson. Clenching his fist, he finds a new resolve burning within him. He plants his feet firmly on the ground, declaring he will never let himself die. In a surprising move, he walks over and gently places a hand on the old woman's shoulder. He plays the part of the dutiful grandson, asking if she's ready to go home. The grandmother looks up, a flicker of surprise in her weary eyes. She agrees, and the unlikely trio leaves the ominous tower behind them. On the way home, the old woman asks if he saw the revered ancestors. He hesitates, the terrifying vision still fresh in his mind. She grimly states he shouldn't have seen them, or even the real Hong Tang. Back at their isolated home, the night feels more ominous than ever. She explains that seeing these things is a side effect of his soul reawakening. With a strange tenderness, she insists he's overcome so much and must recover. Lying in bed, he ponders her promise that he'll get better soon. But he can't help but wonder when this endless nightmare will finally be over. Suddenly, his eyes snap open as a strange ripple appears in his mind's eye. He finds himself back in that bizarre dreamscape, standing before a familiar table. This time, an incense burner and a single stick are waiting for him. He picks up the strange object, wondering what it's for. Following some unseen instinct, he places the incense into the burner. The tip of the incense suddenly glows with an otherworldly light. A thick, dark smoke begins to pour out, filling the surreal space. The smoke envelops him, twisting and coiling like a living entity. A voice echoes from the smoke, calling for other transmigrators from Shadow Mountain. The mysterious voice despairs, wondering if it's the only one left. He cautiously responds to the call, finally getting a clue about his situation. A shadowy figure emerges from a swirling vortex, screaming for him to save them. His mind reels. He's not the only one who's been transported to this hellscape. The voice scoffs, realizing he's just a newbie and no help at all. Frustrated, he demands answers about what's going on and where they are. The voice explains that many others were transported here, just like him. It describes a world teeming with horrifying monsters and evil spirits. But the voice warns that the most dangerous creatures are the world's human inhabitants. It reveals that the locals fear the transmigrators just as much. To them, transmigrators are evil spirits, and they'll be destroyed if discovered. The horrifying truth hits him. In this world, he's the monster. As the incense burns out, the voice panics, leaving him with more questions than answers. The voice explains it's a senior's duty to teach the rules, but right now it can't help him. It leaves him with a critical mission: find and consume the flesh of Tai Sui to survive. The spirit reveals it's on borrowed time, with only 2 months left before it's gone for good. Before vanishing, it gives him a rendezvous point, the House of 100 Corpses in Fox Coffin Village. The incense burns out, leaving him alone in the silent, smoky dreamscape. He finally understands he's not the only one who's been dragged into this nightmare world. But with no allies nearby, he realizes his survival depends entirely on himself. Deciding to play the long game, he resolves to stay with his grandma and uncover her secrets. He jolts awake in his bed, the weight of his new reality crashing down on him. Hong Tang's cheerful voice cuts through his thoughts, announcing that Brother Homa is awake. The next morning at the table, the grandmother casually asks if he had a restless sleep. She reveals she heard him talking in his sleep, sending a jolt of panic through him. She explains that eating Tai Sui flesh is known to cause bizarre dreams and even madness. He breathes a sigh of relief, realizing she still thinks he's just her amnesiac grandson. His eyes fall on the familiar bowl of meat, served once again for breakfast. He now knows this is the flesh of the mysterious Lord Tai Sui. Playing the part of a curious patient, he asks his grandmother to explain what the meat is. His simple question is met with a sudden, chilling silence from both of his captors. He defends his curiosity, arguing it's a logical question for someone with no memory. The grandmother reveals that Lord Tai Sui is a powerful being that suppresses evil spirits. She explains she had to beg the entity to give up its flesh to save his life. Apparently, the clan elders also eat it, but they only get the common white version. A superior blue version exists, but it's been claimed by people from the city. A horrifying realization dawns on him as he connects the dots. She confirms his illness was too severe for the lesser kinds, so she got him something special. The words from his dream echo in his mind. He's been eating the bloody Tai Sui. He stares at his meal, shocked to learn he's been consuming a rare, legendary substance. Despite its supposed power, he's only noticed his wounds healing faster, nothing more. The grandmother, now cloaked and ready to leave, tells him to finish eating and follow her. He looks out into the misty forest, wondering what new trial awaits him now. The unlikely trio ventures deep into the eerie, mist-shrouded woods. As he walks, his foot snags on a gnarled, unnatural-looking root. The root suddenly twists into a dark, menacing tendril, alive and hostile. More shadowy tendrils erupt from the forest floor, surrounding them in a thorny cage. Unfazed, the grandmother calmly commands the shadowy entities to stop. She introduces him as her grandson, telling the forest spirits to get acquainted. He breaks into a cold sweat, realizing she's talking to the monstrous living trees. The tendrils ignore her warning and lunge directly for him. With a mighty thud, she slams her staff into the ground, unleashing a wave of power. The blast radiates outwards, forcing the shadowy forest back into submission. He gasps in relief, wondering how anyone survives in this monster-infested wilderness. Hong Tang explains the villagers are protected, but he's a special case. She leans in with a sinister grin, whispering that he's far more delicious to the spirits. The grandmother interrupts the creepy lesson, summoning him to her side. She orders him to bow respectfully to an acquaintance they've encountered. He looks up to see their acquaintance is nothing more than a plain wooden stake. Playing along, he offers a deep, respectful bow to the inanimate object. As they leave, a bizarre creature slinks away, and he questions why Grandma doesn't just destroy these spirits. Hong Tang reveals a shocking truth. Grandma is a spirit walker who lures evil, not banishes it. The term spirit walker echoes in his mind, adding another layer to this terrifying mystery. He asks Hong Tang who this new master is that they're traveling to meet. She looks up, realizing their destination is the home of the dreaded second master. Even the demonic little girl admits she's terrified of this man, having never dared to enter his home. He deduces that anyone who can scare Hong Tang must be a truly formidable figure. They finally arrive at a lone house situated in a massive crater-like clearing. A group of shirtless, muscular men are seen training with intense, synchronized movements. A hulking, white-haired man calmly smokes a pipe, while his students train with brutal intensity. The man's ear twitches, sensing their approach from a distance. Towering over them, he addresses the old woman as elder sister and asks about the boy. He's stunned to see this group thriving outside the village, a testament to their immense power. The hulking man reaches for him, his massive hand casting a terrifying shadow. A wave of panic hits him. This man's power might just expose his true identity. Instead of an attack, the giant simply places a hand on his head, as if sensing his energy. The second master breaks the silence, asking why the boy hasn't greeted him yet. Grandma quickly covers for him, blaming his amnesia as he offers a nervous greeting. The second master's gaze turns deadly serious as he asks if that thing is still around. She confirms the enemy Ming clan is relentless, and she must deal with their lingering presence for good. He glances into the dark woods, a cold sweat forming as he imagines what they're discussing. Grandma explains that since the ancestors won't protect him, he has no choice but to learn the second master's skills. The master scoffs, saying he owes her his life, but his abilities are not for the faint of heart. With a face of pure desperation, she insists that he has to learn. In a shocking move, she kneels before him, declaring her clan has run out of options. The second master quickly tells her to get up, clearly moved by her plea. She tells her grandson that these new skills will be his only shield against the darkness. With an unnerving smile, she says she'll be gone for a while, leaving him to fend for himself. He puts on a convincing show, tearing up as he calls out for his grandma. As she and Hong Tang depart, he silently vows to protect this body she's entrusted to him. The second master yanks him up, telling him to quit the waterworks because training starts now. The other students immediately start gossiping, mocking how fragile the spirit walker's grandson looks. They recall the real Homa was lazy, making him wonder if they know the original soul is gone. A sharp cough from the master instantly silences the peanut gallery. He claps a hand on his shoulder, explaining Grandma sent him here to forge his weak body into steel. The master reveals the entity hunting him preys on the weak, but strength will make him untouchable. A student mentions the ancestors' rejection, but the master declares they'll make him strong enough not to need them. He scoffs at the sky, proclaiming the living should never rely on the dead for survival. Our hero is left speechless, caught off guard by the man's powerful philosophy. With no time to waste, the master roars out their first order, a 20-mile run before sunset. His jaw drops. This isn't training, it's a one-way ticket to a hellish workout. He's barely started, and his body is already screaming in protest. Looking ahead, he can only marvel at the superhuman stamina of the other trainees. His vision narrows to a sliver as his body finally reaches its limit. He collapses to the ground, utterly defeated by the brutal training. The master is surprisingly impressed, noting his good fundamentals despite his injuries. Catching his breath, he reveals his secret weapon, a daily diet of Tai Sui meat. The master's eyes soften, realizing the depth of the grandmother's kindness. He looks on, a bead of sweat rolling down his face, sensing there's more to this story. Mustering his courage, he asks the second master what this mysterious Tai Sui really is. The master points to a horrifying sight, a living, breathing mountain of flesh. The grotesque mass writhes, and even the stoic master can't hide his disgust. He pats the boy's shoulder, regretting the shocking reveal now that his memory is gone. A wave of nausea hits him. He's been eating pieces of that thing. The master tells him he has no idea the lengths his grandma went to for his sake. Confused and exhausted, he asks what his new mentor means. Taking a seat, the master decides it's time for a lesson on the local horrors. He explains that Tai Sui is a double-edged sword, healing the living while luring the dead. A flashback reveals the grandmother's grim determination, a testament to her power. She's the only one strong enough to walk through hordes of demons to harvest the flesh. The master takes a long drag from his pipe, telling him to be grateful for her sacrifice. He's left speechless, the weight of his grandmother's burden finally sinking in. The lesson continues, Not all parts of the giant meat mountain are created equal. Most of it is black Tai Sui, a toxic substance that drives people mad or worse. Only the sun-kissed white Tai Sui is safe, offering basic nourishment. The master deduces that he's been eating the far superior green Tai Sui. He can only nod, the pieces of his bizarre new life slowly clicking into place. This explains his rapid healing. The green version is a powerful life-extending medicine. But even this miracle substance is finite, needing time to regrow after each harvest. His curiosity piqued, he asks if an even more powerful version exists. The master reveals the ultimate prize, the legendary bloody Tai Sui, worth more than gold. He asks about its benefits, but the master just smirks, saying ignorance is bliss. The master recalls once trading a tiny sliver of it for a small fortune in gold. The master grumbles about losing a potential wife to a gambler over a game of Pai Gao. Our hero can only offer a nervous laugh, completely out of his depth with this giant. He explains that while he's no match for Grandma, he's a master flesh cutter who trains others in the art. To be more respectful, they call the gruesome task paying respect to Tai Sui. The master confirms his skills are for repelling evil spirits, a necessary precaution for the job. He reveals the village is poor, so they work for a blood food gang to harvest the flesh for a wage. Our hero logically asks why they don't just sell the valuable substance themselves. The master explains that without the gang's protection, harvesting Tai Sui is a death sentence. He then reveals a shocking secret. Before the gang, the only one who could do it alone was his grandmother. With a sly wink, the master tells him to keep this little tidbit to himself. He's stunned to learn there's a whole supply chain for this monster flesh, just like in his old world. He realizes Grandma sent him here so he could learn to survive without her or the ancestors' help. With renewed purpose, he asks the second master how to begin learning his skills. The master grins menacingly, warning him that his training will be anything but easy. Without another word, he yanks the boy up by the collar of his shirt. He throws him onto his back, declaring there's no time to waste and training starts now. The master cryptically announces he'll light the stove for him tonight, signaling the start of a special ritual. He stomps his foot, preparing for the first step of this bizarre training. The master unleashes a powerful spinning kick, demonstrating his incredible physical prowess. As the boy catches his breath, the master reveals the first step, finding an adoptive mother. He's ordered to get on his knees and kowtow with the utmost reverence. His new adoptive mother is revealed to be a massive, gnarled willow tree. The master instructs him to kowtow 4 times, a number reserved for demons to gain the spirit's favor. He pats the ancient tree, casually asking if it's ready to accept its new son. The master climbs the tree, formally asking the spirit to protect the boy and lend him a branch. He slaps a talisman on the trunk, and the entire tree seems to shudder in response. With a quick snap, he tears a branch of willow leaves from the tree. He cheerfully thanks the adoptive mother for her generous gift. Our hero can't shake the feeling that his new tree mom isn't exactly thrilled with the arrangement. Just then, a familiar cloaked figure steps into the clearing, their training clearly interrupted. From the shadows, the grandmother silently watches the training begin. Hong Tang correctly guesses that Grandma disapproves of the second master's methods. She admits she's also afraid his new power will push her away. The old woman clarifies she doesn't underestimate the master's skills. With a heavy sigh, she reveals her true concern. She explains his abilities are powerful but dangerously incomplete. Patting the girl's head, she offers a comforting promise. No matter what he becomes, he will never be a threat to her. Back at the camp, the master cryptically mentions his furnace is still glowing. The scene cuts to a roaring fire pit, the heart of his training ground. He warns the boy that neither he nor his grandma can protect him forever. With a grim expression, he prepares for the next phase of the lesson. Our hero can only sweat, realizing he's in for another round of supernatural training. The master kneels before a large pot, beginning a strange ritual. The pot heats over the fire, its contents a complete mystery. He begins to prepare a special concoction as his new student watches nervously. The master explains that every living person contains a powerful life energy. This ritual will lock that energy in, making it more concentrated over time. He declares the boy's body will become a furnace, capable of repelling evil spirits. But he adds a bizarre warning about what happens when the training is complete. The hero is left completely baffled by his new mentor's strange metaphors. The master orders him to take off his shirt and prepare for the ritual. Using the willow branch, he draws a talisman in the pot, completing the preparation. He presses the glowing branch to the boy's chest, igniting his inner furnace. A fiery symbol appears on the master's forehead as he announces the true beginning. The hero's eyes widen, reflecting the strange, fiery power. The master slams his hand onto the boy's chest, transferring the energy. A glowing sigil burns on his skin as he feels a powerful heat gather within him. The master's eye glints, revealing the true nature of his power. Suddenly, ghostly hands reach out from the darkness, drawn to the new energy. He cries out as dozens of spectral hands claw at him, drawn to his newfound energy. The master snaps his fingers, and the terrifying vision of spirits vanishes in a puff of smoke. With a concerned look, his new mentor asks him what's wrong. He quickly lies, wondering how the master didn't see the ghostly assault. The master continues the lesson, ordering him to memorize the talisman's pattern. He must guide the firepower through his body, gathering it in his core to fuel the furnace. Any spirit foolish enough to invade his body will be instantly incinerated by the heat. To his surprise, the energy feels less like a fire and more like a comforting warmth. A hopeful thought crosses his mind. Maybe this proves he's not an evil spirit after all. Unseen by the trainees, the grandmother watches over the camp from a distant ridge. Her face is a mask of grim contemplation as she observes her grandson's progress. With her silent vigil complete, she and Hong Tang turn to leave. The training camp is a lone beacon of light in the vast, dark wilderness. Back at the camp, the master leads him into the Spartan living quarters. He warns his new student that life here will be far from comfortable. The master dismisses the trainees for the night, ordering them to practice quietly. With a final thud, the door closes, leaving him alone with his new rivals. He lies down on a simple mat, surrounded by the other Stoic students. The others immediately start whispering, jealous of the special treatment he's receiving. He ignores their chatter, focusing only on mastering his new survival skill. In a meditative state, he begins circulating the fiery energy through his body. He's amazed by the wonderful feeling, wondering why Grandma kept this amazing skill from him. But his practice is cut short as an icy breeze freezes his hands solid. He gasps in shock, feeling an unnatural cold spreading through his limbs. Clutching his stomach, he realizes his inner furnace is shrinking, not growing. The master's words about life energy echo in his mind, sparking a terrifying thought. He's forced to confront a horrifying possibility. What if he's already dead? The sun rises, casting its light over the misty, monster-filled mountains. A new day of training begins with the second master's deafening roar. He and the other students are immediately sent sprinting through the woods. He struggles to keep pace, dwarfed by the superhuman trainees around him. With every step, he feels his inner furnace growing weaker in this lifeless body. A terrifying thought hits him. What happens if his only source of warmth goes out? Just as he's about to give up, a familiar voice cuts through his exhaustion. He looks up to see Hong Tang waving from a cliff, a welcome but strange sight. The demonic little girl greets him with a cheerful, almost friendly smile. She explains Grandma is away on business and sent her with a special delivery. He eagerly opens the basket, wondering what kind of food she's brought. Inside is a fresh supply of the mysterious red meat that's been keeping him alive. He realizes the coldness is from skipping his daily dose of Tai Sui meat. Hong Tang relays Grandma's orders. Eat more meat to make his furnace stronger than anyone's. He understands her warning now. He must conserve his strength until he's fully recovered. It dawns on him that his grandma knew his furnace would have problems from the start. His eyes narrow as he realizes he's just a pawn in her elaborate plan. As he prepares to eat, he notices Hong Tang staring at the bowl with hungry eyes. He takes a bite, and an incredible warmth immediately spreads through his chest. A flicker of hope returns to his eyes as he feels his energy coming back. The Tai Sui meat acts like fuel, instantly reigniting the fire in his core. He realizes Grandma's message was a promise. This body's condition can be changed. With a newfound sense of trust, he tells Hong Tang he understands what he has to do. She happily urges him to finish up so she can get back to checking on Grandma. As he eats, he notices the little girl's longing gaze still fixed on his meal. She admits she was a good girl and didn't sneak a taste even though she really wanted to. He comically ignores her pleas, leaving the little demoness to cry in the background. With his energy restored, he heads back down the hill to rejoin the other trainees. He's stunned to find them brawling like wild animals over a single pot of food. His eyes widen in disbelief at the desperate, chaotic scene before him. He realizes they're fighting over scraps, a far cry from the premium meat he just ate. Suddenly, the entire group stops fighting and turns their attention to him. A lanky trainee named Cui Xi Er smirks, asking if he wants to compete for their food too. He senses a wave of hostility from the lanky trainee, wondering what his problem is. But before things can escalate, the second master summons him with a commanding shout. The bully scoffs, clearly annoyed that his fun has been interrupted. The master holds out a bowl filled with what looks like premium-grade Tai Sui meat. He offers it to the boy, explaining it's to help fuel his newly ignited furnace. Playing the part, he asks if this is a traditional gift for accepting him as a student. The master grumbles that it's from grandma and is wasted on an old man like him. He tells the boy to eat up and learn quickly so he can earn his own keep. As he digs in, the master orders him to go learn some moves after he's finished. He quickly tries to get out of it, asking if he can take a break from training. Using grandma's words, he explains he's supposed to be resting and not overexerting himself. The master surprisingly agrees, deciding to find someone else to teach him instead. He calls out for a cheerful, chubby trainee named Tang. The master assigns the new guy as his personal tutor, warning they'll be punished together if he fails. Our hero smirks, thinking this new arrangement will make his days much more peaceful. That thought is immediately shattered by the sound of water being violently dumped. The bully Cui Xi Er is back and he's not happy to see them resting. He furiously yells at them for slacking off on their chores. Grabbing our hero, he declares he'll teach him a lesson while the master is away. The bully sneers that the grandson is just as useless as his grandmother. With a sudden move, he sends the boy flying, asserting his dominance. A flashback reveals he's been enduring this torment for days without fighting back. But insulting the woman who's keeping him alive is a line he won't let anyone cross. Cui Xi Er taunts him, daring him to do something about it. A dangerous glint appears in our hero's eye. He's finally reached his breaking point. Unseen by the others, Hong Tang watches the confrontation from the tall grass. He lets out a sharp breath, his patience completely gone. With a clenched fist, he challenges the bully to a fight, ready to throw down. The tension in the air is thick as the other trainees realize a brawl is about to begin. The two rivals face off, and the other students can only watch as the fight officially starts. The other trainees doubt he can survive a single punch from the camp's seasoned bully. Cui Xi Er cracks his knuckles with a smug grin, warning him not to tattle if he gets hurt. With a furious roar, the bully lunges forward to deliver the first blow. But in a shocking move, our hero trips him, sending the brute tumbling to the ground. The bully is left dazed and confused, spitting dirt from his mouth. He stumbles to his feet, wondering how he was so easily taken down. He turns to find our hero standing right behind him, a look of pure focus on his face. With a clever trick, he'd used the loose earth to unbalance his opponent. He then flings a handful of dirt and grass, blinding the furious trainee. The bully curses, completely caught off guard by the dirty fighting tactic. Suddenly, a pair of small hands covers his eyes from behind. It's Hong Tang, who has sneakily jumped onto his back to provide the perfect distraction. Our hero grits his teeth, seizing the golden opportunity his little accomplice has created. With his vision completely blocked, the bully flails around helplessly. The hero smirks, silently thanking Hong Tang for the perfect assist. He plants his feet, declaring that whatever happens next, he didn't start it. Igniting his inner furnace, he winds up for a superpowered punch. He unleashes a devastating, fiery blow that connects squarely with the bully's chest. Cui Xi Er's eyes widen in pure shock as the fiery energy courses through him. The force of the impact sends him flying backward across the training ground. Our hero stands victorious, smoke still rising from his fist. The other trainees panic, rushing to their fallen friend's side. Cui Xi Er lies unconscious, the result of underestimating the new guy. Just then, the second master returns, his face a mask of thunderous rage. He roars for someone to bring the black oil ointment for the injured student. A hand plunges into a pot filled with a thick, dark, medicinal paste. The master quickly applies the strange ointment to the unconscious bully's chest. Our hero nervously asks if the strange medicine will actually heal him. The master confirms its name, black oil ointment. He explains it's a powerful concoction of immortal mushrooms that heals surface wounds instantly. The bully lets out a weak breath, knocked completely unconscious. A fellow trainee points in relief, announcing that the downed fighter is waking up. Cui Xi Er's eyes snap open in a silent, terrified scream. He scrambles away in a panic, babbling about seeing a ghost in the house. Still delirious, he continues to rave about ghosts as a hand grabs his face. The second master yanks him back, telling him to stop embarrassing himself. He slings the hysterical trainee over his shoulder, ordering the others to watch over him. With the chaos handled, the master turns his intimidating gaze to our hero. He gives a simple, ominous command. "Follow me." The two sit in a tense silence, the master clearly waiting for an explanation. He demands to know how a newbie managed to nearly extinguish a veteran's inner fire. Our hero nervously admits he just hit him, but with a little of his special furnace power. The master grabs him by the shoulders, his expression a mix of shock and suspicion. With a booming voice, he orders the boy to channel his energy for a demonstration. He sits down, preparing to show his mentor the strange power within him. Focusing his will, he begins to gather the energy in his core, but as he touches his stomach, a blast of icy energy erupts from his hand. The master recoils in disbelief, completely stunned by this bizarre power. He demands to know how his cauldron fire can be so unnaturally intense. The master puts two and two together, asking if Grandma has been feeding him green Tai Sui. Our hero can only offer a sheepish grin, his secret diet now exposed. The master facepalms, realizing the old woman has been secretly boosting his training. He grumbles that he could have changed the talisman if he'd known sooner. Our hero points out that his mentor never mentioned anything about changing talismans. Annoyed by his rapid progress, the master orders him to get ready for an upgrade. He gathers his tools, preparing for another strange and powerful ritual. Back at the furnace, the master announces the new, improved ceiling was a success. He mentions he'll need to visit the boy's adoptive mother for a new willow branch. Our hero nervously asks if this is going to be a regular thing. The master explains that as his furnace grows stronger, the seal must be reinforced to match. The master explains that for most, one talisman change is enough, but his case is different. He humbly deflects the praise, crediting all his progress to his grandmother's kindness. His mentor smirks, pleased that the boy is finally aware of the sacrifices being made for him. With that understanding, the master orders him to stop being lazy and honor her efforts. He extends a hand, announcing the boy has reached the required level for some real abilities. With a firm grip, he pulls his new student to his feet, ready to begin the next lesson. The hero throws a practice punch, showing off his surprisingly solid form. His master effortlessly deflects the blow with a casual puff of smoke from his pipe. Impressed, he asks if the boy has been secretly practicing instead of slacking off. He then wonders aloud if his lazy tutor is actually a secret martial arts prodigy. Our hero knows the truth. His progress is thanks to his past life, not his napping instructor. He steels his resolve, knowing he must master these skills if he wants to live. The master explains these martial arts are just another way to channel his inner energy. He describes the first method, internal channeling, which gathers fire energy in the core. But these ancient arts, he reveals, are a form of external energy channeling. This technique extracts the fire from his inner furnace and unleashes it on the world. With a mighty punch, he demonstrates the move, sending a wave of power across the room. He names the first ability Mountain Cleaver, a punch that releases a blast of pure fire. The hero's eyes light up with excitement, eager to learn the powerful new skill. Next, the master demonstrates the second ability, Push and Block, which uses a different flow of energy. He then shows off a third move, a quick jump followed by a swift upward strike. With a dramatic flourish, he announces the final technique, Monkey Snatches the Peach. He strikes a pose, leaving his student utterly speechless at the ridiculous name. The master insists the name is not to be mocked, as it's what his own teacher taught him. When the boy asks what's next, his mentor bluntly states that's all he's got. He scratches his head, admitting his old master only ever taught him those few moves. Our hero wisely decides not to pry, sensing a painful story behind the incomplete training. He quickly reassures his mentor that 3 powerful skills are more than enough to survive. Fired up and ready to learn, he urges the master to begin the lesson immediately. The scene shifts to a lone stone house under a vast starry sky, their training ground for the night. In the dead of night, the trainees sleep soundly in their Spartan quarters. But our hero lies awake, his mind racing with the day's revelations. He knows his body is cold, but the bloody Tai Sui has filled him with an incredible power. Closing his eyes, he vows to master these new skills and repay his grandmother's sacrifice. But as he drifts off, a shadowy figure silently slips into the room. The intruder pulls out a gleaming dagger, its sharp edge glinting in the dark. It's Cui Xi Er, the bully, looming over our hero with a look of pure malice. The blade flashes as it plunges down towards the sleeping boy. A crazed, inhuman grin spreads across the bully's face. He begins swinging the dagger wildly, as if possessed by a malevolent force. The blade slices through the air, carving a path of pure chaos. Our hero, now awake, watches from the wall as the possessed bully attacks another trainee. He realizes with a jolt that this isn't just a grudge, something is terribly wrong. The possessed trainee turns, lunging at him with the glowing dagger. Biting his lip, our hero braces himself for the sudden, unholy assault. He narrowly dodges the frenzied attack, the blade missing him by inches. The bully clutches his head in agony as a ghostly figure emerges from his back. A terrifying, white-faced spirit reveals itself as the true source of the madness. The possessed trainee unleashes a wave of spectral energy, sending our hero flying. The blast rips through the room, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Realizing his rival is possessed, he screams for the second master to help. The master bursts through the door with a mighty kick, lantern in hand. He and his senior students storm the room, ready to face the supernatural threat. The possessed trainee collapses, his eyes rolled back as he babbles incoherently. The master finds the bully unconscious on the floor, the evil presence seemingly gone. Rushing to his fallen student, he demands to know what just happened. Our hero quickly explains that a white-faced evil spirit was behind the attack. He recounts how the spirit coiled around the bully, turning him into a mindless puppet. The master's face turns grim. He recognizes the infamous white-faced mountain monster. After tending to the victim, he orders our hero to come with him for questioning. In the quiet aftermath, he sits with his mentor, the unconscious bully, a stark reminder of the night's chaos. The second master's massive frame moves to secure the room, casting a long shadow. As his mentor bolts the door, our hero asks if the danger has truly passed. The master confirms he set up wards, ensuring the ghostly wanderer won't be back anytime soon. But his face twists in anger, questioning how the spirit dared to invade his territory. Our hero explains the bully's jealousy over the master's special treatment made him an easy target. He admits their recent fight likely fueled the resentment that drew the spirit in. The master sighs, revealing he'd warned the boy about his family's narrow-minded ways. That deep-seated resentment, he explains, is what allowed the white-faced mountain monster to take hold. His mentor then turns to him with a sharp gaze, demanding to know how he survived the attack. He asks if our hero was the one who unleashed the legendary arrow of true light. The master is stunned to learn he mastered the complex technique after hearing it explained only once. He admits the boy's talent surpasses his own, but warns that this revelation brings a new problem. For a monster that powerful to attack, he explains, something must have provoked it. Our hero sweats, completely lost as he asks what his mentor means. The master reveals his farm is a fortress of fire energy, a place even conscious monsters know to avoid. A horrifying thought dawns on him as he asks if the master means the attack was personal. His mentor confirms it. The monster's assault goes completely against its survival instincts. He suspects a greater power is pulling the strings, likely the same clan that's been hunting him. The hero's blood runs cold, thinking of the enemy that even his grandmother fears. He desperately asks his mentor for the clan's name and why they want him gone. The master admits that even he doesn't know, as the old woman keeps her secrets close. Taking a long drag from his pipe, he decides to share what little he does know. He recounts a 20-year-old grudge, a ruthless clan determined to wipe out the Hu family entirely. The story continues with the night the original Homa vanished, and how Grandma used a forbidden art to find him. Stunned by this new information, he asks what exactly his grandmother did to save him. The master looks away, his expression grim as he simply says, "Nothing." But a hidden memory reveals the truth. She found the boy's broken body and performed an impossible rescue. He explains that Grandma wounded the entity hunting him, knowing it would return if it sensed he was alive. The master turns to the barred window, admitting that now he's truly worried for the boy's safety. The master reveals the white-faced mountain monster is targeting him, likely at the behest of a greater evil. He tells the boy to rest, deciding they must inform the grandmother of this new threat tomorrow. Our hero connects the dots, realizing Grandma went into the mountains to confront this very enemy. A horrifying thought strikes him. What if even the powerful spirit walker can't handle this foe? He clenches his fists, a new resolve hardening his expression. Standing tall, he declares his intention to enter the forest and help his grandmother. The second master looks on, a flicker of surprise in his stoic eyes. With a hearty laugh, he claps the boy on the shoulder, proud that he's finally grown up. The next day, he finds a distraught Hong Tang in the woods and asks why she's late with his meal. She looks up with wide, terrified eyes, admitting there is no food. The little demoness bursts into tears, wailing that she couldn't find the grandmother anywhere. Without a word, the second master scoops them both up and sprints through the forest at blinding speed. Hong Tang clings to his back, her small voice trembling as she calls out his name. Bearing her face in his shoulder, She asks if Grandma has abandoned her. He quickly reassures the terrified girl, promising they'll find her protector together. The second master's face is a mask of grim determination as he races onward. He explains that as Grandma's servant spirit, Hong Tang is intrinsically linked to her. A vision reveals the old woman's ritual, lighting a special incense stick so Hong Tang can always find her. The hero's eyes widen in shock, the gravity of the situation finally hitting him. His mentor offers a sharp piece of advice. In the face of trouble, one must never panic. He decides their first move is to return to the village and gather more information. They arrive at the village entrance, greeted by a small crowd of anxious onlookers. The clan chief rushes forward, relieved to see his second son has returned. The master's face pales as he urgently asks what's happened to the grandmother, but the chief looks utterly confused, asking what he means. Our hero realizes with a jolt that the villagers weren't worried about Grandma at all. The chief explains she hasn't been seen in the village for days, ever since she left him at the camp. He looks out over the misty landscape, a cold dread creeping into his heart. A villager points towards the west, recalling that she was last seen heading into the old forest. The second master's gaze hardens, hoping against hope that his elder sister is still all right. The second master cuts to the chase, asking the chief why he was summoned so urgently. With a nervous glance, the chief gestures for him to look towards the village entrance. A large caravan has arrived, filled with nobles who wish to enter the old forest. The chief explains these are powerful figures who need an expert guide, a task only the master can handle. He urges his second son to serve them well, hinting at a potential reward for the village. But the master's face is a mask of worry. He has to refuse as his grandma is missing. The chief scoffs at his concern, insisting the powerful spirit walker is perfectly fine on her own. He stresses that an important merchant is with them, and they absolutely cannot afford to anger these visitors. The village's entire livelihood, from medicine to grain sales, depends on keeping these nobles happy. The lead noble watches the exchange with an air of cold indifference. The chief pleads, explaining the nobles have already been waiting for an hour and can't be delayed. A determined voice cuts through the tension, volunteering to enter the forest with them. Our hero steps forward, offering to help with the search and the guide mission. The chief immediately shuts him down, warning him not to hinder the second master's important task. But our hero cleverly points out the nobles are heading in the same direction Grandma disappeared. The master grins, praising the boy's logic and agreeing that staying by his side is the safest option. The chief still looks hesitant, but our hero questions why finding a guide is so difficult for them. The lead noble finally speaks, threatening to take his business to another village if they don't hurry. Panicked, the chief quickly assures the man they have a guide ready and waiting. The second master steps up, officially accepting the job of guiding them into the treacherous mountains. He confidently states he knows every inch of the vast old shadow mountain surrounding them, but he makes one final demand. The boy must come with him as an assistant. The unlikely group, now including Hong Tang, ventures into the eerie, fog-shrouded wilderness. The master suddenly halts, warning that a dangerous toad spirit is ashore and they must find another path. The lead noble seems unfazed, calmly stating that at dusk humans and spirits keep to themselves. With a grim look, the master tells him that in this forest things are different. He explains the dark energy here is so thick that day or night, it is always considered dusk. A shadowy figure illustrates his point. Any human who enters this forest has crossed into the spirit world. The noble leader simply smirks, intrigued by the ominous warning. He turns to a mysterious covered palanquin, ordering his men to follow the guide's instructions. A servant bows respectfully to the covered palanquin, awaiting his orders. The noble leader glances at the sedan chair, curiously asking if a woman is inside. The second master seems relieved, noting the noble lady seems to understand the dangers. He warns that arrogant city folk who ignore advice never know how they'll meet their end. With a sigh, he announces they'll have to camp in the forest for the night. Night falls over the treacherous mountains, their tiny campfire the only light in the darkness. Our hero gathers a bundle of thick, sturdy branches for their camp. He reports to the second master that he's gathered all the branches he could find. Confused, he asks what the branches are for, since they're clearly not for firewood. The master explains that spending the night here is trespassing on the land of evil spirits. He begins planting the branches firmly into the ground around their campsite. These branches, he reveals, will create a temporary barrier of protective light energy. This method deals with minor spirits without provoking the wrath of the entire forest. Our hero silently observes, learning another rule of survival in this terrifying world. The master tells him to rest, promising they'll find Grandma after guiding the nobles. A warm campfire crackles, pushing back the oppressive darkness of the woods. He sits by the fire, holding a sleeping Hong Tang close for comfort. He whispers a promise to the sleeping girl, vowing they will find her grandmother. Hong Tang snuggles closer, reassured even in her sleep. The two separate camps settle in for a tense night under the watchful eyes of the forest. As he drifts off, a familiar voice echoes in his mind, calling for other transmigrators. His eyes snap open, startled by the sudden mental intrusion. He's instantly pulled back into the surreal, smoky dreamscape. He spots the incense burner, but this time 2 sticks are burning instead of 1. A wisp of smoke brushes past his ear as he realizes what this means. The swirling vortex of smoke roars to life, the voice calling out from within. He asks the spirit if it's found another transmigrator, and it confirms his suspicion. The voice repeats its dire warning. To the locals, they are monsters to be hunted and destroyed. He listens grimly, the weight of their shared fate settling in. Suddenly, a new voice cuts in, asking if he's the child who came from the village. He's completely stunned, demanding to know how this new voice knew he was from the village. The spirit explains that just as people can change their voices, so can it. He touches his throat in disbelief, realizing he too can alter his voice in this dream world. The new voice correctly guesses that he hasn't communicated with many other transmigrators. He realizes this woman is dangerously sharp, having extracted his secrets with just a few words. Cautiously, he asks the new voice what her identity was before reincarnation. The shadowy figure in the smoke simply goes silent, refusing to answer. Instead, the spirit comments that his opening question is a bit strange. He argues their past lives are useless now. They're all just insects struggling to survive. The new voice looks him dead in the eye, questioning if he's really so miserable. She points out that he's traveling in a private palanquin, hardly the mark of a struggling survivor. He's left completely speechless, his cover as a simple villager totally blown. The fiery, shadowy figure then asks how he managed to guess her identity. He explains that transmigrators are rare on this mountain, so a newcomer is an obvious suspect. Plus, her disguised voice still had a feminine quality, and the only female stranger was in the palanquin. The woman in the smoke is impressed, admitting her voice-changing skill isn't perfect yet. He smirks, then suddenly wonders how he was even able to tell it was a woman's voice. The spirit reassures him that her identity being revealed just makes their information exchange safer. She notes that since he was born and raised here, he must know the mountain very well. He's confused when she asks if he knows about the House of 100 Corpses. A sudden memory hits him. That's the place where his brother was imprisoned. The woman explains the place is from an ancient era called the Age of the Underworld. But then the monstrous Tai Sui appeared, spreading chaos and demons across the land. She describes the current era as one of raging wars, where only the great and wicked thrive. He listens grimly, realizing the peace of the mountain is just a fragile illusion. He decides to ask his second question. What is the story behind their reincarnation? The spirit calls it a useless question, but one that's easy to waste an opportunity on. She reveals the shocking truth. None of the transmigrators know why they're here. She explains they were all mysteriously reincarnated, remembering their past lives at different times. Their only link is that their names and horoscopes match their past lives, and they can communicate through these spirit temples. He realizes her explanation doesn't quite fit his unique situation. The other transmigrators were born into this world, but he was summoned into a dead body. A horrifying thought strikes him. He's not reincarnated, he's a possessing spirit. Shaking off the dread, he turns to the smoky figure, ready for his final question. The spirit warns him to choose his words carefully and not waste this chance. He pauses for a moment, a clever new plan forming in his mind. Instead of a question, he decides to trade his last opportunity for a request. The mysterious woman agrees, intrigued by his bold move. He asks for her help in finding someone incredibly important to him. She asks if it's a relative, and he simply says it's someone who showed him great kindness. The spirit agrees to help, but explains they'll need to create a believable excuse. He's left confused, wondering what kind of opportunity she's talking about. She chides him for being too trusting, reminding him that secrets are the key to survival. As a noble, she explains, getting close to a poor village boy would raise too many questions. She devises a plan. He will save her from a stage danger, giving her a reason to repay him. He listens intently, realizing this is about more than just finding his grandmother. She promises to help him first, as long as he holds up his end of the bargain. The spirit reminds him to provide the information she wants in their next dream meeting. With a final warning, she tells him to act normal in the real world no matter what. The dream fades, leaving him with a single determined thought. "Grandma, wait for me." He wakes with a start, the morning sun filtering through the dense forest canopy. The second master watches over him as he groggily comes to his senses. His mentor tells him to get ready. They have a long day of searching ahead of them. He turns to Hong Tang, asking if she's felt any connection to the old woman. The little demoness can only curl into a ball and shake her head in despair. A grim silence falls over him as the hope of finding her dwindles. He looks at his trembling hand, realizing it's been nearly 3 days since his last meal. Without the Tai Sui meat, his body has started consuming its own inner furnace for fuel. He clenches his fist, knowing he's running out of time to find his only lifeline. With renewed urgency, the group presses on through the treacherous woods. The entire caravan sprints through the woods, a strange mix of villagers and nobles on a mission. He wonders why the staged danger he was promised hasn't kicked off yet. The lead noble impatiently asks their guide how much further they have to go. The second master just grunts that they'll be there soon, clearly hiding his own worries. He explains that even crossing the old village ruins is a treacherous task. Our hero carefully navigates the overgrown path, his senses on high alert. Suddenly his eyes widen. He's detected a malevolent presence nearby. He looks up to find a monstrous spirit tree, its face twisted in a silent scream. A branch whips past his head, and he realizes this is very, very bad. The entire group halts, now aware they've stumbled into a monster's territory. He's baffled, wondering how a group of seasoned travelers missed a giant angry tree. A flash of realization hits him. The plan is finally in motion. As a branch lunges for the palanquin, he knows this is the opportunity he was waiting for. He screams a warning, ready to play the part of the hero. Leaping forward, he unleashes his powerful mountain-splitting fist. He throws a fiery punch aiming to intercept the monstrous branch. From within the palanquin, a single mysterious red eye watches the scene unfold. But before his fist can connect, the second master yanks him back by the collar. The noble's guards spring into action, forming a defensive circle around their lady. A calm voice from the palanquin dismisses the threat as a simple ancient tree. Impressed by his bravery, she orders her man to reward the kind-hearted boy with silver. He's left kneeling on the ground, the plan having gone slightly off the rails. The noble scolds him, telling the foolish boy to thank the lady for her generosity. But our hero looks up with determination, boldly refusing the money. He declares that instead of silver, he wants to ask the young lady for a favor. The noble's face twists in rage, offended by the peasant's audacity. The second master quickly steps in, trying to defuse the situation by calling him just a child. The lady's voice cuts in, stating she's busy but will still honor her word. The noble reluctantly tells him to speak, giving him one chance to make his request. He explains his spirit walker grandmother is missing and he needs the noble lady's help to find her. The noble's attendant asks if he has an item his grandmother recently used. Our hero stammers, completely caught off guard by the strange request. He points to Hong Tang's basket, hoping the scent of Tai Sui is enough. The attendant recoils in shock, furious that he brought a spirit into their camp. He quickly calms down, noting that a small, obedient spirit is harmless enough. A nervous Hong Tang peeks out from behind her protector's leg. The attendant takes the basket, deciding its lingering energy will have to do. He begins chanting, attempting to use the basket to track the old woman. A wave of energy ripples outwards from the ritual, but quickly dissipates. The attendant sighs in frustration, his tracking spell a complete failure. The lady's voice explains that the old dark mountain blocks his simple tricks. She orders her man to bring a writing brush, deciding to handle this herself. A servant quickly produces a small pot and an inkstone for the ritual. The attendant carefully prepares a mysterious liquid for his mistress. The second master's eyes widen, recognizing the substance as Tai Sui's blood. He explains it's been refined with a secret technique known only to spirit walkers. The hero grits his teeth, realizing all power in this world stems from the monstrous Tai Sui. A servant hands him a small, ornate mirror with a sigil drawn on its surface. The lady instructs him to look into it and think of his grandmother with all his heart. He stares intently into the mirror, focusing on his desperate need to find her. The mirror erupts in a brilliant flash of light as he calls out her name. A terrifying vision appears, showing a rain of blood as he clutches the glowing artifact. He sees a monstrous, multi-eyed tree, with his grandmother locked in a desperate battle. The vision shows the old woman bravely fending off the tree's attacks with her staff. In a horrifying twist, he sees himself trapped within one of the tree's branches. The tree monster reveals its true grotesque form, a being of pure malice. His grandmother unleashes a powerful blast of energy, striking the creature's core. The vision shifts, showing her telling him not to look and not to come for her. But her voice echoes a desperate plea, telling him to hurry because she's about to die. The mirror cracks and the vision shatters, leaving him screaming for her to wait. The mirror explodes in a flash of light, shattering the terrifying vision. He stumbles backward, dropping the broken artifact as he reels from the psychic backlash. The clearing is thrown into chaos, with the boy on the ground and his mentor rushing to his side. The second master grabs him, trying to shake him out of his horrified trance. From the palanquin, a calm voice dryly reminds him that he now owes her a mirror. Shards of the broken mirror litter the grass, reflecting the empty sky. The noble's attendant is stunned, realizing the monster was strong enough to counterattack through the spell. He warns his lady not to underestimate the power lurking within Old Shadow Mountain. The attendant explains the mountain is a massive breeding ground for Tai Sui, birthing countless evils. His mentor grabs him by the shoulders, desperately asking what he saw. He describes a monstrous tree with countless eyes and bells hanging from its branches. The second master's face pales with recognition at the chilling description. With a flash of insight, he realizes he knows exactly where the old woman is. He grabs the boy and Hong Tang, roaring that they have to go now. Our hero remembers his grandmother's warning to stay away, knowing the place is incredibly dangerous. But with a powerful reincarnator on their side, he thinks they might just have a chance. The noble's attendant watches them run, annoyed by their sudden departure. The lady in the palanquin simply orders her men to follow the desperate trio. Her attendant is confused, questioning why they should involve themselves further. The entire caravan now sprints up the mountain, a strange alliance on a rescue mission. As they run, he hears a strange, alluring voice calling his name. He turns to his mentor, asking if he heard the mysterious call. The second master just looks confused, admitting he didn't hear a thing. Suddenly, one of the noble's guards freezes in his tracks, his face blank. The attendant's eyes narrow, sensing an unseen spiritual threat. The guard is stopped by an invisible force, his eyes wide with a silent terror. The attendant realizes the guard has been entranced by a malevolent spirit. He slaps the man across the face, shouting for him to wake up. He identifies the threat as a sinful beauty spirit, which lures humans into the darkness. The attendant warns that if you answer its call, your soul is stolen before you even know you're dead. He warns them to never answer, even if the voice sounds like a trusted friend. The attendant's face darkens as he too hears the spirit's tempting call. The entire caravan freezes, mesmerized by the disembodied voice echoing through the woods. A calm voice from the palanquin mockingly asks what kind of tricks are being played. Suddenly, a writing brush shoots out from the sedan chair, slicing through the air. The brush carves a glowing arc, dispelling the unseen spiritual influence. A flock of birds scatters into the sky, the only sign of the invisible enemy's retreat. A splash of blood hits the ground, proving the unseen spirit was wounded by the attack. With the immediate threat gone, the second master urges everyone to keep moving. The group presses on, finally reaching the location from the terrifying vision. They arrive in a clearing dominated by a massive ancient tree adorned with bells. The bells and paper talismans chime softly, hanging from the gnarled branches. The second master and our hero confirm this is the monstrous tree they're looking for, but our hero looks around in confusion, wondering where his grandmother has gone. The vision flashes in his mind, the old woman battling the multi-eyed tree demon. The second master reveals this is the famous pagoda tree spirit, a guardian of lost souls. He explains its sacred duty is to help the spirits of children find reincarnation. The noble's attendant interrupts, stating that the two weren't actually fighting. He reveals the tree's spiritual power has collapsed, turning it into a puppet for a greater evil. Placing a hand on the bark, he senses the lingering, corrupted energy. The attendant explains Grandma's kindness led her to spare the innocent tree spirit, but he warns that showing mercy to a possessed entity always comes at a great cost. Our hero panics, desperately demanding to know where his grandmother is now. Suddenly, Hong Tang gasps, her head snapping towards a nearby rock formation. With a cry of joy, she points towards a dark cave, shouting that Grandma is there. The little demoness sprints towards the cave entrance, eager to be reunited. But as she approaches, a monstrous, shadowy claw lunges out from the darkness. The claw snatches her, yanking the terrified girl off her feet. A terrifying, red-eyed creature emerges, its grip tight around the struggling demoness. Our hero can only scream her name in horror as she's dragged into the monster's lair. Just as he lunges forward, the second master yanks him back by the collar. His mentor's face is grim as he warns that the cave is an obvious trap. They realize the monster was just using Hong Tang as bait to lure them in. A monstrous bipedal sheep demon emerges, flanked by corrupted child spirits. The master realizes this beast was controlling the tree, lying in wait for them all along. The attendant confirms the children's souls are now evil spirits, with no hope of reincarnation. The second master hands our hero a blade, telling him this creature is out of his league. He promises to create an opening for the boy to check on his grandmother. The sheep demon lets out a sinister grin, ready for a real fight. With a mighty stomp, the monster prepares to charge its new opponent. The second master roars a challenge, ordering the old sheep to kneel before him. He leaps high into the air, pipe in hand, ready to deliver a devastating blow. The two titans clash in a brutal head-on collision of pure power. The shockwave from their impact blasts the smaller spirits away. A corrupted child spirit is sent flying through the air from the force of the blow. Seizing the chance, our hero grabs Hong Tang and makes a break for the cave. He sprints towards the dark entrance, screaming for his grandmother. He slides to a stop just inside the cave, his foot splashing in a puddle. His eyes widen in horror at the grim scene before him. He finds his grandmother lying on the ground, surrounded by the shadowy spirits. The corrupted child spirits close in on the weakened spirit walker. He and Hong Tang stand guard, ready to defend her from the approaching swarm. With a determined grit, he raises the blade, preparing to fight for her life. He unleashes a fiery slash, carving a path through the malevolent spirits. The sheep demon watches the boy's fiery attack, reflected in its massive eye. The grandmother looks up, her expression a mix of shock and exhaustion. She coughs weakly as he rushes to her side, catching her before she falls. He kneels beside her, desperately asking if she's all right. He quickly explains that he and the second master came to find her. He proudly adds that he even brought a noble from the city, but she just stares back, unimpressed. But his grandmother grabs his wrist with a grip of iron, her strength shocking him. She looks him dead in the eye, her voice a low whisper as she asks who he really is. Her face becomes a terrifying mask of shadows, demanding to know the truth of his identity. He stammers nervously, insisting that he's Homa, her real grandson. But she cuts him off, stating coldly that she knows her own grandson, and he's not the same. Her sharp gaze narrows, wondering when the boy she knew suddenly became so mature. A tense silence fills the cave as the weight of her accusation hangs in the air. His blood runs cold as he realizes his greatest secret has been exposed. The transmigrator's warning echoes in his mind. They are hunted as monsters in this world. He's left completely speechless, trapped by her all-knowing gaze. A dark thought flashes through his mind, his reflection in the blade offering a terrible solution. His eyes widen in horror, shocked by his own desperate, murderous impulse. He immediately shakes off the thought, reminding himself that this woman is his family. Gently, he takes her frail hand in his, a silent plea for understanding. With tears in his eyes, he reaffirms his identity, vowing he is her little grandson. He confesses he remembers a past life but has forgotten parts of this one. But through all the confusion, he insists the one thing he never forgot was her. Her blood-spotted hand slowly reaches out towards his face. She touches his cheek, a soft smile forming as she says her little grandson has finally grown up. With a look of pure relief, she thanks the heavens that her clan's bloodline will continue. He realizes she's not nearly as weak as she appeared, wondering if this was all a test. A wave of fear washes over him as he thinks of what might have happened if he'd given in to his dark thoughts. She senses his fear and gently tells her grandson not to be afraid. A vision reveals the truth. She knew he was different from the moment she summoned his soul back. She explains she never doubted him because she summoned him with her own two hands. But her strength finally wavers, her hand falling limp at her side. She explains that after brushing with death, it's only natural for his mind to be fractured. She compares his fate to the corrupted child spirits, questioning who is truly to blame for their suffering. He finally understands. She knew he was Homa, but couldn't explain his sudden change. Suddenly, she clutches her chest, the battle's true toll finally catching up to her. He's left questioning his very existence, a fiery spirit looming behind him. Just then, the second master's massive frame stomps into the cave. He roars for his big sister, his face a mask of pure panic. The sudden intrusion startles both the boy and the weakened spirit walker. The master grabs her shoulders, desperately asking if she's okay. She just sighs, complaining that his booming voice is giving her a headache. She then scolds him for recklessly bringing her grandson into this mess. The master sweats, quickly pointing out that the boy insisted on coming. Our hero just smiles sheepishly, admitting he was worried sick about her. Her expression softens as she touches his shoulder, noting her grandson is still young. She lets out a long, weary breath, the battle's toll finally showing. She dismisses the second master, wanting a private word with the boy. The giant man starts to cry, earning a scolding from his elder sister. He dejectedly shuffles out, leaving the two alone by the flickering candlelight. Outside, Hong Tang waits patiently by the cave entrance. She can't help but peek in on the serious family discussion. A single candle illuminates the somber mood between grandmother and grandson. She looks at him with tired eyes, calling him my child. With a sad smile, she delivers the devastating news. She's leaving. The sun rises over the mountains, signaling either a new beginning or a final end. Back in the darkness of the cave, she repeats her grim farewell. She takes his hands, telling him not to worry, as she's just going to the ancestral hall a bit early. She explains that since the Ming clan failed, she must go back to pave the way for him. Her voice drops to a whisper as she admits it's a pity. That she could only heal half of him, leaving the rest of his fate in his own hands. He listens intently, the gravity of her sacrifice finally sinking in. He quickly reassures her, insisting she's already done more than enough. With a proud grin, he boasts that he's already surpassed his master's 60 years of training. She just gives him a tired, unimpressed look, clearly not in the mood for bragging. She places a hand on his chest, asking a strange question about his pillars. He connects her words to the incense pillars in his spirit temple, realizing something changed that night. He recalls feeling something burn and collapse within him during his dream. She smiles, confirming he now has 1.5 pillars of power, proving their plan is working. He now understands the incense burner is directly linked to his survival. She reveals that with 3 pillars, he can finally fix his half-dark body. A vision explains that 1 full life equals 1 pillar, and he now possesses the power of 3. With a bloody hand, she takes his, telling her good child that she trusts him completely. But she has a few final words he must remember, no matter what. He listens with a heavy heart, knowing this is their final conversation. She gives him a grim order: return her to the old fire pit and tell everyone she has passed away. His eyes widen in horror, understanding the true meaning of her request. She explains her mortal vessel is no longer of use, and abandoning it will set her spirit free. Her eyes flash with an unyielding, otherworldly determination. She's racked by a violent coughing fit as he screams her name in desperation. He holds her close, but she waves him off, preparing for her final act. She hands him a pot and several other items, warning him to keep them hidden from everyone. She gives him a red envelope, transferring ownership of Hong Tang to him. She asks him to be kind to the little spirit, who has also had a difficult life. Hong Tang watches from afar, sensing the somber finality of the moment. He smiles warmly, promising to take good care of his new companion. The grandmother gives a final, relieved smile, her last wish fulfilled. She places a hand on the pot, warning him that his body now depends on the Tai Sui meat inside. She reveals she scraped the entire mountain clean but isn't sure if it's enough to sustain him. He's left speechless, tears welling in his eyes at the depth of her sacrifice. With her remaining strength, she pulls out one last cloth-wrapped item. She hands him a weathered ancient book, the key to his future. It's the time suppression book, the ultimate secret of the He clan. She sadly reveals that on this mountain, they are the last 2 members of their clan. A vision shows her facing a monstrous entity, explaining she must go hold off the Ming clan. She tells him to master the skills, promising one day they will make their enemies pay. He stares at the ancient book, the weight of his clan's legacy reflected in his eyes. Clutching the time suppression book, he holds the key to his family's survival. With a roar of determination, he vows to fulfill his grandmother's final wish. Outside, the noble's caravan waits impatiently by the corrupted pagoda tree. The attendant grumbles about the delay, annoyed that night is falling once again. A calm voice from the palanquin reminds him that final testaments take time. The attendant praises his mistress's kindness, noting the boy is lucky to have her help. He then curiously asks about the power levels of the two local fighters. The attendant scoffs that even a master who summons dark thunder was bested by a simple tree. From the shadows of the palanquin, the lady dismisses the old woman as insignificant. Her sharp, calculating gaze reveals she sees the spirit walker as no threat at all. Suddenly, the sky rips open in a swirling vortex of otherworldly colors. The noble lady peeks out, intrigued by the sudden spiritual phenomenon. A grand procession of spirits emerges from the vortex, heralding a soul's departure. The grandmother's spirit declares that with her grandson grown, the He clan finally has a successor. A massive column of spiritual energy erupts from the cave, signaling her ascension. The powerful energy swirls around the palanquin, a final display of her might. Her spirit gives Hong Tang one last gentle pat on the head in farewell. She turns and walks into a spiritual gateway, her journey in this world complete. With a final, determined look, the spirit walker passes on to the next realm. Two shadowy figures are all that remain in the now empty cave. Inside, our hero and his mentor sit in somber silence, mourning their loss. He rises to his feet, his expression hardened by grief and a new sense of duty. The second master and the nobles look up as he finally emerges from the darkness. His mentor rushes forward, desperately asking where his big sister has gone. Our hero solemnly relays her final request to be returned to the old fire pit. The second master freezes, the devastating finality of her words hitting him like a physical blow. He looks back at the empty cave, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated grief. A heartbroken Hong Tang feels abandoned, believing Grandma no longer wants her. He kneels down, gently taking her hand and promising they will take Grandma home together. Back in the dreamscape, he meets with the mysterious noble lady once again. He thanks her for the cloth, which gave his grandmother a dignified farewell. The spirit dismisses his thanks, stating his grandmother's sacrifice earned her respect. He silently nods, accepting her words with a heavy heart. The spirit gets straight to business, ready to uphold her end of their bargain. She reveals the House of 100 Corpses is under a bridge, and another reincarnator is already there. But she warns him the man is on his last breath, having used a desperate trick to survive for one more month. She tells him if he leaves now, he can save the man and they can split the reward. He cleverly asks if she's not coming, citing a fake, unwritten rule that she should get a share. His eyes widen in mock surprise, questioning if such a convenient rule actually exists. With a knowing sigh, he sees right through her attempt to manipulate him. He politely declines, stating his only priority is taking his grandmother home. The fiery spirit seems to smile, impressed by his unwavering loyalty. She calls him intelligent, predicting his sharp mind might just keep him alive. The spirit then proposes a future alliance, leaving him completely baffled. She explains that reincarnators are a suspicious bunch, never truly trusting even their own kind. She then flips the script, asking him to help her find someone, calling him a person worthy of trust. The spirit probes him, asking if his relationship with his family is strained. Her voice turns cold as she asks if things are good between them. He's left horrified as she casually admits she nearly had them all eliminated. The dream ends as the fiery spirit vanishes in a flash of swirling red light. He stands alone in the void, realizing the world of reincarnators is a dangerous, complicated mess. The scene shifts to a beautiful sunrise, signaling the start of a new somber day. A procession of villagers follows him and his mentor back to the old fire pit. The clan chief, overcome with grief, is supported by another villager. Our hero watches the mourners, realizing the true depth of his grandmother's influence. He sees that even the spirits of the forest have gathered to bid the spirit walker farewell. The ghostly figures stand vigil over a simple, dignified grave marker. He turns to her final resting place, apologizing for his past ignorance. Suddenly, the solemn mood is broken as angry villagers shove an old woman through the crowd. He recognizes the newcomers as the Cui family, a group known for causing trouble. The Cui matriarch enters the room, putting on a grand performance of grief. A man tells the old woman to rest, assuring her they'll handle the funeral arrangements. Our hero scoffs at their Oscar-worthy acting as they offer a fake apology for past slights. The entire Cui clan kneels before the body, a picture of false reverence. He watches their charade, knowing this is about more than just paying respects. A Cui family member suddenly objects, demanding a proper coffin instead of a simple cremation. The clan chief explodes in anger, furious at the man for questioning their traditions. The man argues that after all she's done, the spirit walker deserves more than the old fire pit. Another villager steps in, trying to placate the enraged clan chief with a smug smile. The Cui family quickly ushers the fuming chief outside, claiming they just want to talk calmly. Our hero clenches his fist, seeing right through their manipulative scheme. He glances up to find Hong Tang watching the drama unfold from the rafters. The little demoness gives him a knowing nod, ready for whatever comes next. Outside, the Cui family reveals their true colors, arguing the grandmother can't be buried with their ancestors. They claim that since the Hu clan are outsiders, the sacred fire pit is off limits. The chief roars back, reminding them of the 20 years of aid she provided their village. He furiously lists every family she saved, every sickness she cured. The villagers look away in shame, unable to deny the truth of his words. The Cui elder changes tactics, claiming her powerful spirit would bully their ancestors. He reminds them the ancestors never accepted Homa, so her presence would only cause chaos. They offer a compromise, a fancy coffin, but buried outside the village walls. The chief refuses, knowing this is a grave insult that her grandson would never accept. The Cui elder scoffs, dismissing our hero as a foolish boy who knows nothing. Hong Tang whispers that they've threatened to exile him if he doesn't comply. His expression hardens, his patience finally snapping. Suddenly, a thunderous crash shakes the ground as a powerful voice roars a challenge. The second master appears, log in hand, ready to see what skills the arrogant villagers possess. The Cui family's faces drain of color, their bravado vanishing in an instant. His mentor stands like a mountain, a silent, terrifying promise of what's to come. The Cui elder calmly tells the second master he's become muddled, allowing such disrespect. The master scoffs, asking if their ancestors were the only reason they survived on this mountain. Our hero reminds them of the endless favors his grandmother granted, even to neighboring villages. The clan chief roars, demanding to know how they'll face anyone after this disgraceful act. With a threatening leap, the second master asks if they'll have the courage to even leave the village. The Cui elder finally relents, admitting the Hu clan are indeed people of Dayang village. He grabs the master's arm, declaring the matter settled and ordering everyone to leave. The defeated villagers shuffle away from the small house, their scheme in tatters. Our hero stands silently in the doorway, watching the troublemakers retreat. The crowd disperses down the hill, leaving the family to their grief. But one of the villagers glances back, a hint of resentment still in his eyes. Our hero's gaze hardens, his first battle as head of the family won. Night falls as smoke billows from the old fire pit, a solemn tower under the moon. He kneels before the sacred flames, sending his grandmother on her final journey. The villagers watch from the door, admitting the boy from the Hu clan has finally grown up. He accepts his new duty, knowing his grandmother's care was not in vain. In the roaring flames, he sees her spirit one last time, smiling down with pride. Later, he sits alone in the quiet, empty tower, the ceremony complete. He carefully gathers her ashes, now wrapped in the cloth from the noble lady. Standing tall, he holds her remains, a new weight on his shoulders. He secures the bundle to his back, preparing to take her home for the last time. He looks around the empty room, calling out for his new companion, Hong Tang. With a sigh, he realizes the little spirit has already gone out to play. He turns to the items she left behind, the pot, the book, and the red envelope. He looks over his inheritance, the last remnants of his grandmother's legacy. Opening the pot, he discovers it's filled with potent red blood food pills. A vision reveals a single pill can instantly replenish his body's dwindling energy. He marvels at their power, but worries what will happen if he can't level up in time. His attention then shifts to the ancient family heirloom, the Book of Time Suppression. He opens the weathered pages, ready to unlock the secrets of his clan. The book's contents are baffling, filled with cryptic arts like sensing the veins and burning the bones. He realizes this book holds the key to hunting Tai Sui, the very method his grandmother used to save him. With a sigh, he admits he needs a new teacher, as the second master has taught him all he knows. For now, he decides to write down his knowledge, hoping it will prove useful in the future. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoes in his mind, asking if his brother can hear him. He's instantly pulled back into the fiery dreamscape, a swirling vortex of red energy before him. Stunned, he asks how Brother Erguotu managed to contact him. A shadowy figure explains that once a connection is made, they can speak directly within a certain range. Our hero asks if he's finally escaped the House of 100 Corpses. and the spirit confirms it. The man reveals the noble lady helped him, and after storming the house together, they split the spoils. He explains our hero was owed a share, and he's here to repay the debt for saving his life. The boy waves it off with a smile, insisting it was nothing more than his duty. But the spirit argues that a lesser man would have simply waited for him to die and claimed the treasure. Our hero feigns ignorance, pretending such a devious thought never crossed his mind. The spirit's form shifts, revealing he heard about the boy's recent troubles from the noble lady. He offers his help, boasting that his 30 years of experience in this world far surpasses the boy's. Delighted, our hero admits he's the only reincarnator on the mountain and is desperate for guidance. He complains that the mysterious Miss White Wine only granted him 3 questions. The veteran reincarnator smiles, promising to teach him all the self-evident matters of their existence. He begins by confirming the boy knows about their shared origins and their ability to connect. The spirit admits that while their reincarnation is a mystery, a few facts are certain. He reveals they all came from the same world and were awakened around age 3 by a strange voice. This entity, whom they call the Awakener, warned them to hide their identities but left them with few memories. The boy listens in stunned silence, the pieces of his strange new life slowly falling into place. The spirit gestures to the swirling void, explaining this is their fated spirit temple. He clarifies that because the dreamscape resembles a temple, that's what all reincarnators have come to call it. Every reincarnator possesses such a temple, a personal space between the mind and the dream world. He points to the censer, revealing the burning incense is the very embodiment of their life force. This life force translates directly to power. The denser the energy, the stronger the reincarnator. By consuming this energy, they can light the incense to search for others across an entire city. The spirit reveals that behind the incense lies their faded stone statue. He explains this statue is a spiritual reflection, mirroring all their training and knowledge. Even personal flaws appear on the statue, which is why reincarnators are such quick learners. Our hero wonders if the others see a statue of themselves, as he only sees a vague silhouette. The grim truth hits him. He is fundamentally different from the other reincarnators. Their temples reflect their power, but his is ruined. They were awakened by a voice, but he was summoned by his grandmother. He knows he must keep these dangerous secrets to himself for now. The spirit tells him to accept their strange fate, as they have no other choice. He then offers his full support, eager to repay the boy for saving his life. Our hero decides to push his existential crisis aside and focus on the present. With a clever smile, he decides to change the subject with a question of his own. He asks the veteran if he's ever heard of stove lighters. The spirit recognizes the term immediately, identifying it as a skill of the year keepers. He clarifies that year keepers isn't a holiday tradition, but the name for a specific path of power. A vision reveals a world of evil, with many factions like year keepers and head cutters who fight it. These different methods and customs have created numerous distinct paths for warriors. The spirit confirms that the powerful year keepers are one of these very paths. It all clicks for our hero. His master and grandmother followed 2 completely different disciplines. He eagerly asks the spirit how he can join this powerful faction. The spirit notes his ambition, warning him that the path of the year guards is a complicated one. He pivots, asking the boy a strange question about his pillars of rank. Our hero falls silent, staring at his own incense stick with total confusion. He asks if pillar is another name for their life incense, or a special term for rank in this world. The fiery spirit simply looks at him and says it's both. He explains that reaching the age of 20 in peak health grants a person 1 pillar of life force. To become a year guard, a reincarnator must possess at least 1 full pillar of this life incense. Our hero recalls his grandmother's words, realizing his need for 3 pillars makes him a special case. He files the valuable information away, knowing it will be crucial for his survival. But his confidence shatters as he wails that he doesn't even have half a pillar. He cries about his weak past, unable to learn his grandmother's arts and forced to light a weak stove fire instead. He shudders, realizing that without the Tai Sui meat, he would have been completely doomed. The veteran reincarnator watches him, a long silence hanging in the smoky air. He warns the boy not to reveal his hand so easily, as caution is the key to survival. The locals are hostile, he explains, and even fellow reincarnators can't be fully trusted. The spirit then looks at him with pity, noting his situation is particularly dire. Our hero complains that some reincarnators are born with silver spoons while he's stuck fighting for scraps. The spirit understands his desperation but warns that those who stray from the path become human candles. The boy is completely baffled by the strange term, asking what it could possibly mean. A vision reveals warriors whose life force burns away with every battle, just like a candle in the wind. He falls silent, realizing the tragic fate of these so-called meat cutters. Determined, he asks what the righteous path is if that one leads only to ruin. The spirit declares the only way forward is to train and become a true year guard. To do that, he must first join the notorious blood food gang in the city. These gangs revere powerful year guards, learning their secret life-nurturing arts. His eyes widen with hope as he learns the strongest among them can even bring the dead back to life. He eagerly asks how he can get on this path, ready to seize his destiny. The spirit agrees to help, but insists this alone isn't enough to repay the debt of saving his life. He promises to find an opportunity and tells the boy to save his questions for the full moon. Our hero smiles, a new plan already forming in his clever mind. The dream fades, leaving him to stand before his incense burner and wait patiently for his chance. The scene shifts to a quiet village nestled in the mountains under the cloak of night. Inside a small house, two men toast, their cups clinking in the warm light. An old man relays a message from the master director, telling his companion to eat and drink well. The other man humbly deflects, saying he's just doing a job for the association. The conversation turns serious as he asks how many people they'll hire for the Tai Sui ritual. His companion sighs, blowing on his tea and admitting this year will not be easy. He explains it's a lean year, so they'll only be able to hire about 100 people. The green Tai Sui crop was poor, he laments, and the rare bloody Tai Sui is nowhere to be found. But a sly grin spreads across his face as he reveals he's come up with a great idea. The other man's eyes light up, eagerly calling the mysterious plan wonderful. A man questions his friend's strange urgency, noting this frantic behavior is unlike him. He asks why his companion ran all night just to bring him back to the village. The friend reveals the Red Lantern Association is hiring, and the second master wants our hero to join. They arrive to find a long line of determined men, all marching towards the same goal. Our hero is stunned, realizing the status of every man in the village has suddenly changed. A massive crowd rushes the gates, all begging the second master for a chance to participate. The second master explains this year is different. They're hiring permanent assistants, a golden opportunity. His friend grins, explaining that getting chosen means a house, a wife, and a successful life. Our hero cautiously asks if this Red Lantern Association is a legitimate organization. A man on a stage boasts that anyone working for the blood food gangs returns home a hero. He realizes this is the very opportunity his reincarnator friend promised to find for him. Suddenly, a stern figure steps in front of them, blocking their path. The newcomer scoffs, questioning what a boy with less than a month of training is doing here. His friend tries to explain, but the old man demands a more detailed answer. The man's face twists in anger, furious that the outsider didn't even call him uncle. Their argument is cut short by a sudden announcement: the director has arrived. An important-looking man with a grand mustache rides in on a horse flanked by his entourage. The director calmly instructs his subordinate to pick the best of the crowd for him to train personally. He dismounts, standing before the hopeful recruits with an air of absolute authority. The director addresses the crowd, boasting that his Red Lantern Association is famous for its skills and benefits. He promises that new members become family, receiving food, lodging, a wage, and invaluable training. But he warns them that selection depends entirely on the effort they've already put into their own strength. The director scans the crowd, pleased that they all seem to be in good spirits. With a commanding presence, he orders each of the hopefuls to hold out their hand. A brawny villager nervously extends his palm, unsure of what to expect. The director simply taps the man's hand with a single glowing finger. The powerful villager is instantly thrown to the ground, completely overwhelmed. Our hero watches in shock, wondering how the director took him down with a single touch. The director dismisses the fallen man, telling the second master his foundation is too weak. He coldly tells the failed recruit to try again next year as the second master scolds him for slacking off. The man's arm slams into the dirt, the sheer force of the tap undeniable. He stares up in disbelief, utterly defeated by a single casual touch. One by one, the hopefuls fall, littering the field with their broken pride. The director moves to the next recruit, his hand closing around the man's wrist. This villager sweats bullets knowing his entire future rests on this single test. With a silent, unimpressed gaze, the director judges him and finds him lacking. Suddenly, a familiar face pushes through the crowd, calling out to Grandpa Qian. The director's stern expression softens as he waves the boy through, having already tested him. With a knowing smile, he turns his attention back to the remaining recruits. Our hero's turn has finally come, and a shadow of dread falls over him. Looming like a giant, the director points a single finger, his voice booming. "It's your turn.